Welcome back. Day 7, family vacay, Norwegian Prima. We are in Bergen, Norway. About to embark on a land and sea tour, which involves a bus, and at some point, we're gonna end up on a boat. So, nope.
Wants a jacket. He has time.
Okay. When I try to tell people, make sure you bring everything you need so that way you don't have to go back. Because if you miss your shuttle, that's a wrap. You lose your money, no refunds. So, Bergen, Norway. We're at the port. That's the Norwegian Prima. And, yeah. Another day, great weather, a little chilly. Got the long sleeves on today. But once we get a move on, we'll resume and take you guys with us. Remember, we appreciate the love. Remember to like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. And yeah, we'll be back shortly. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back. We are on a brief walking tour. Just got off the bus, going to the historic city center of Bergen. Gonna turn around and let you guys see what we see. That's a Radisson Blue Hotel. These wooden buildings are supposed to be 400 or 500 years old, something like that. That's what they say. Please don't quote me, but I'm gonna follow my guide and see what he says. That's the harbor over there. Beautiful. Looking at the cobblestone. Gotta pay attention to how I'm walking, don't want to trip. Apparently it rains in Bergen 215 days a year. So they were very happy to see that today was a sunny day, so that's why a lot of people out, because the sun doesn't shine as much according to them, so a lot of the locals are out and about. So we're going to turn around and take a look. Bars. That was a breezy. You heard the chopping. See that guy with the flag? Gotta follow him. So let's see what he has to say.
Right here. It's called Bergen. Bergen is an old Norwegian word, and it translates to so this place is called Bergen. It's an old Norwegian word, and it translates to something like a wharf. Very simple, but for a long time this was called Norwegian or German. So this was the German war for a very long time, and I told you that Norway would probably not exist without these houses early on. Some people were already on the bus. So why? What's the big deal? Well, in order to understand what happened here, we have to go back a long time, around 700 years actually. Back then, 1300s, these houses already existed. They were fishermen's houses, and the port, of course, looked a lot different than it does today. It was not as packed. The whole street that we just came from didn't exist yet. So the fjord would go all the way up to those houses, and the fishermen would use the houses to load and unload their boats right into the warehouse. So there was some trading going on, and they were fishing, but it was nothing compared what was about to happen. And it all started with probably the biggest tragedy to ever hit Norway. It was a ship that came into this very port, a ship from England, so a ship with an English flag, but it didn't dock. It just sat in the harbor for 3 whole days until a few men were sent to have a look at what's going on the ship. And they found the ship loaded with grain and the entire crew dead. So they thought, oh, that's amazing, we don't have to pay anybody. We can just get all the grain into our port. And because this was the 1800s, there were a few rats on board, of course, as well, and they got off the boat into the harbor of Bergen, and congratulations, they had just imported the Black Plague all the way from England into Norway. The plague spread like wildfire in Norway. It only took a few months for the plague to kill off 50 to 70% of all Norwegian citizens. So historians are not quite sure if it was actually 70% or only 50. Let's say it was only 50% of people that died in those months. You can imagine that nothing was the way it used to be after the plague devastated the country, basically. So the king had a huge problem because during those plague months, agriculture collapsed entirely. So the king was left with only half of his population, but he had nothing to feed them with. And it looked like Norway was about to experience a famine that was absolutely brutally devastating. But they were saved. They were saved by a union of merchants, something like a merchant guild back then. They were extremely powerful and they came from the north of Germany. They called themselves the Hanseatic League, or just the Hanse for short. Back then, the 1300s, they were at the peak of their power and they were more powerful than most countries in Europe back then. They approached the king and they offered him a deal. They offered to bring all the wealth, all the trade, and most importantly, as much grain as he needs to feed his population into his port of Bergen. But they were businessmen after all. They came here to make money, so they wanted to have something in exchange. And they wanted to have the monopoly on stockfish trade from Norway. So what is stockfish? Why did they want the stockfish? Stockfish is dried cod. Dried cod that is caught all the way in the north of Norway, where they put it up on sticks, or stock in Norwegian. So if you translate it, it's just a stick fish. You put it up on sticks and you let it dry until it becomes very dry and preservable. There is it's dried in the cold air, in the cold wind of northern Norway. So it's very cold up there, which is why the fish doesn't rot. And then all the wind dries the fish. So there's no liquid left in the fish anymore, and the stockfish doesn't go bad for decades. You can take a 40-year-old stockfish, you can soak it in water for a few days, and it'll be a perfectly fine cod again. And at the time, that was absolutely revolutionary, because people didn't have fridges yet, people didn't have freezers yet, meaning if you didn't live next to the sea or a big river, you had never seen a fresh fish in your life, because it wasn't possible to get the fish to you before it would go bad. Stockfish, you could transport that all over Europe easily. So the king agreed, and the Hanseatic merchants came into these houses and they made a fortune. They thought they might stay for a few decades, but they ended up staying in these houses for 400 years. Think about major companies today, Microsoft, Amazon, none of them is older than 50 years, 400 years. The Hanseatics did nothing else from here but selling one product, that was stockfish. So because of this, what we see today is just the leftovers. This used to be a lot bigger. It would go down all the way to the stone building at the end of the road and all the way down to the fish market. It was only German men, and they were only selling one single thing, stockfish. At time, a third of the entire population was just the German men living here in Bergen. So these houses are preserved extraordinarily well. They burned down like everything else did in Bergen, but they were always rebuilt using original plans, which is why once you step inside, even though it's not 700 years old anymore, it's more 200 to 300 years old, it still feels like you enter a medieval alley, and we're going to do just that. So follow me.
Really makes you appreciate how young the United States are in the grand scheme of things. So let's take a look. Let's go through this alley.
after World War II. Because Norway was occupied by the Germans for the entire duration of the war, basically, and believe it or not, afterwards they were not as happy about that tiny bit of German culture in the middle of the city center anymore. So they thought about tearing it down, and very by chance, basically, decided not to do it in the end, which we're very lucky to have this piece of history still. But it's lost its name. It's not called the German Wharf anymore, it's just the Wharf, just like this church is Mary's church, not the German church. But on the graveyards, you're not going to find a lot of Norwegian names here. They're all going to sound very German, and that's because the most people that lie here were Germans, of course. Just like the wooden buildings in here, this one also partly burned down regularly, so it was heavily damaged by fire. Which is why every time a new architect came along and built this place, they wanted to leave their own unique mark. If you look at the windows, for example, almost every window is like a different style of architecture. It's kind of all over the place, but overall I think it still works. Looks good. So from here on, you just walk back down, turn left, go back to hop back on the bus, and then we're gonna leave the city and drink a beer. Huh? Drink a beer. Yes.
Alright guys, we're getting ready to head back onto the bus, so we're going to end it here until we get to the next part of the tour. We'll be back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are just about to board our vessel for the fjord excursion. Just getting a little snack before we get on board. That is the ship boat that is going to take us that way. So we're going to take a brief intermission. I'm going to go find a restroom, get a little snack, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're on our little portion of the tour. So a little cooler on top, but it's pleasant. If you're prepared for the weather, got my long sleeves on, so I'm good. But yeah. I'm really trying to stay in between giving you commentary and staying in the moment. Kind of getting lost in translation. But what I'm feeling is a sense of pride, a sense of motivation, a sense of accomplishment. And it's really hard to describe. Your labor has come together. I'm gonna take a moment, just be present, and use your imagination. Allegedly, this weather that we're having today is not common. So to reiterate, currently rains 215 days out of the year. The boathouse. Bring your boat right up to your house. That's pretty cool. So, fun fact, I don't know if I can give you some examples, but apparently the troll mythology is very Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Conclusion of Bergen. It's a great day. It was a great day.
Bergen. No Bergen.
No Bergen. Bergen?
Bergen.
Bergen, okay. Correction, Bergen. So, another glimpse of the ship as we make our way back, not to get left. Again, great day. Weather was beautiful. And gonna get on board and get ready for our evening. Don't know what that's gonna entail, but if we do anything worth sharing, we'll come back. Thanks again, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, excuse me. Remember, it's not a lifestyle unless you're a fanatic. Take care, guys.